I'm going to turn it over to Dana, and she's going to talk about some local resources and activity going on and activity from the city's perspective.
Okay, thank you, Doug, and thank you, Doug and Josh, for pulling this together for our businesses. On behalf of Mayor Backus, who intended to be here today, but we threw her on a call to try to get some more money from some of the funding sources that are coming in. So Doug asked me to just hit on a few points. The first, just kind of generally, you know, what is the general update with the virus as it relates to Auburn. I just jumped into the King County has set up a data map that shows information by zip code. And what I can tell you about Auburn is that I believe this data was current as of yesterday, that we have had 721 people in Auburn tested. 83 have tested positive, and we have had 3 deaths of Auburn residents related to the virus. And this was something that we had asked for kind of from the outset, to be able to drill down to that data so we knew what kind of impact the virus was having on our city. The hospital would inform us when they had COVID patients that they were treating. Most of them that they have treated have been from other hospitals. So it was hard for us to answer the question to our residents of, you know, how many people have it here and have we had anybody die? And we couldn't really say, because most of the patients that were coming into the hospital early on were not residents here, but they were being treated here. So now we're able to get a little bit more specific data from King County Public Health. Overall, the hospital tells us they're doing okay. Their system does not appear to be overwhelmed with patients. It appears that people are taking heed of not making unnecessary visits to the hospital, although their staff does indicate that personal protective equipment is always needed. They've been under a conservation state for probably just to make sure that they were able to keep what they had, and they do expect more to come in. The current stay home, stay healthy order that has been issued by the governor, he did give a press conference yesterday. If you didn't listen in, his press conference was really centered around a lot of questions that you all have been asking, in that what constitutes an essential business as that order came down, and does my business fit into any of those categories? Can I stay open? If I do stay open, what should I do? We do know that there are some businesses that are operating when they shouldn't be, and that is why the Attorney General was in on that press conference to just kind of indicate and plead with the business community, as difficult as it is, that if you should be closing, if you were asked to close your doors, you need to close your doors and send your employees home. He did not announce yesterday if he was going to extend the statewide order or not. We expect that he will, since the federal government appears to be pushing out the timeline for when we may hit the peak of infections in the United States. So we are planning internally that at least an April 30th stay home order will probably be announced in probably the near future. Can't say exactly when. And the other thing that was interesting in the governor's press conference that we also wanted to communicate out is that we are getting asked directly, am I an essential business? Am I allowed to stay open, or am I supposed to close? And there's kind of an urban myth on the street now that there's some sort of permission or an official letter that can come from the city that will tell you whether or not you can stay open. And we do not have that ability we don't have the local authority to say yes or no to that. So we are directing people to the state They do have kind of a questionnaire that you can kind of put yourself through to see if you do qualify to stay open or should close your doors. And a couple of things we heard earlier on a call with other cities, surrounding cities, is that some businesses are saying, well, I have a letter from the mayor, so I can stay open. There is no such letter or no such official permission that will be given by the mayor or the city in that regard. So we would just kind of like to echo the governor and the attorney general's pleading that businesses do comply with the order to stop the spread. Most of you know that the mayor and the city council did issue an emergency moratorium on evictions for both residential and commercial evictions. Those were both 30-day moratoriums, and if the stay home order stays in place, it is likely that we will extend those moratoriums as well. But the other thing, and that you will hear from the other speakers on this call that can speak to it much better than I can, is that we really need for people to get connected to the emergency aid that is being offered by the federal, state, and the county. We're not getting direct funding at the city of Auburn. And so our goal is to stay as informed as we can, to get you into the right line that you should be in to get funding, whether it's Small Business Association or economic development or, even, private granting and things like that. We want to make sure that those resources are made available, or that the ability to apply for those resources is made available to you. And we can't stress enough that you need to get yourself into that line early. It's going to be a long line, and the wait will try your patience. We are sure of that. We're hearing it that even so, the state hired 200 more employees to handle the unemployment claim benefits that are coming in. It's still a long process. So be patient, get in there, get whatever you can for yourself, because it is there, but it's going to try your patience to get there. And you all know, and I think you can all speak to it, everyone on this call, of what kind of impact this has had on your businesses and your other business colleagues around the city. The impact has been monumental, and recovery is going to take, it's going to be a heavy lift for all of us. And, what we're doing on our part is to ensure that we are getting you resourced as best you can into programs, and we're doing our part to support local businesses. And, Doug and Josh have been doing a great job of pushing out information from the business community of, like, we are open, we can still serve you, or, we have services, but now they're a la carte. So call us or email us and we'll get you what you need. And we're going to keep pushing that out along with the chamber and everyone else. So with that, I'll turn it over to the real experts in this field. And again, thanks for signing on, and I hope we can be more help to you than we already are.